Hi, it's Sarah with the Ormond Beach Regional Library, and today on this episode of Volusia Gets Crafty, I'm going to show you how to create a granny rectangle. This is the second of 3 granny themed projects that you can customize to the size you wish. Now in the end, we're going to learn how to crochet all the granny squares together, but you can use that technique in joining smaller granny rectangles as well. But today we're just going to focus on the rectangle and how to even make that into one big blanket on its own. So why don't you grab a hook and some yarn and let's go get started. Okay, so today we're going to learn how to create a granny rectangle. So it's very similar to the granny square in terms of how you go around. It's just going to give you the elongated rectangle, which is kind of nice because if you kept going and adding on layer and layer and layer after layer, you could actually make a throw that would fit over you. When you do the granny square and you make them bigger and bigger and bigger, you're just going to get a bigger square. So it sometimes doesn't always cover your whole lap, but a rectangle, if you make it bigger, will. So that's why I wanted to show you this. So it will start off with a chain rather than a circle. So let's get started. I'm going to create a slip knot. And we're going to chain 24. So yarn over and pull through the loop on your hook. And go until you have 24, and I'll meet you back in just a second. Okay, so I've got my chain of 24. And what we're going to do is we're going to put 2 double crochets in the 4th chain from the hook. So we're going to yarn over and count back 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to go into that top loop. And we're going to put 2 double crochets in there. And the 3 chains that we skipped will actually count as a double crochet. So there's our cluster of 3, which you get in the granny squares, remember? All right, so once we have that, we're going to chain 2, and we're going to put 3 double crochets into the next stitch. So the one right next to it. So this big gaping one, we're done with. We want to go to the next one. So yarn over, insert into the next stitch, and put 3 double crochets. And this first round is always the hardest, guys. It's hard to hold on to it, but just bear with it. Because once you get past this, you don't have to do any counting. It's just easy peasy. So then we're going to skip 2 chains. So 1, 2. We're going to put 3 double crochets into the 3rd chain. And that is what we are going to do all the way across the row. So you're going to skip 2 chains, 3 double crochets into the next, skip 2, 3 into the next, and I'll meet you once you get to the end. Don't worry if you don't have an odd number at the end, that's okay. I'll meet you back. Okay, so I've made my way back across my chain, skipping two chains and putting 3 double crochets in the stitches. And when I'm at the end, I've done my last set of 3 double crochets and I have 1 chain left. And if you did end up with that, you're good too. Because what we're going to do next is create our corner, because our rectangle has to come back around the other side. So what we're going to do is chain 2, just like with the granny square, that's the corner. And into the last stitch, we're going to put 3 double crochets. So get in there. 1, 2. Oh. 3. Okay, then we're going to do our other corner. So chain 2, and that'll turn us around. And what we're going to do is come back along this same spot, and you're thinking, where are we going to put them? You're going to put them right where you put the other ones. So do you see this big hole that it made when you put your 3 double crochets in? You're going to put 3 double crochets into that same space going back the other direction. So you don't have to count this time around. You just mirror what you did on the other side. So 3 double crochets, hop to the next one. Here's your next set and your next little hole. You go right in there. 3 double crochets. And you're going to work that into each of these big hole spaces all the way back across, and I'll meet you once you get to the last one, and we'll show you how to end this row. All right. So I've just worked my way back across the other side, putting the 3 double crochets into the mirror image of the other side, and I've gone into this last one. And then what we're going to do is create the last part of our corner. So we're going to chain 2, and we're going to slip stitch to the top of the chain 3 that we started with. So just go in there, yarn over and pull through that stitch and then through the loop on your hook. And we're going to chain 1 and fasten off. All right, so I'm going to just cut this one here at the end because I kind of buried it with my stitches at the beginning. And then we'll weave in this one little tail to get it out of our way. And remember to go to your back side of your project, not the side that you can see the loops, but the other side, because that's it's not considered the right side, so we want to go into this one. Looks a little different from the one where you can see the stitches. It looks a little nicer on the other side, so okay. We're gonna snip that off, and we'll show you how to get started on your next round. It's exactly the same as with your granny square. You're just making it longer sides right from the get-go. So we're going to create our little mini slip knot with the gray. And as with the granny, we're going to start with a corner. Okay, so remember our chain 2s are the corner spaces. Insert your hook from the front to the back and put on your little slip knot and chain up 3. And just like with the granny, to make your corner, you're going to do another 2 double crochets, because that first chain 3 counts as a double crochet. So there's our group of 3, chain 2, and 3 more double crochets into the same space. And that's going to create our corner. Okay. Oh, my yarn has to come off of here. And then what we're going to do is 3 double crochets in between each of these sets of 3 double crochet from the previous row. So we've got lots of them this time around with a rectangle, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 we should end up with. So we're going to put 3 into the next space. And 3 into the next, all the way across. And I'll meet you at the next corner to help you get turned around, and we'll go from there. Okay, so I've made my way back across here, and I'm coming to the first corner. So I've got my 3 sets of double crochets, and into the corner, I'm going to put a corner, right? So we're going to do 3 double crochets, a chain 2, and another 3 double crochets into that same space. Then our next option is to go into the next corner, right? Because we're never doing anything into the tops of these stitches. So our next space is a corner. So we're going to put a corner in that corner. So 3 double crochets, chain 2, and another 3 double crochets in the same space. All right. And then we will work our way back across in between the sets of 3. So do you see here's a set of 3, here's a set of 3. We're going to go into that space, and each space across doing 3 double crochets just like you did this first round. And I'll meet you back at the end and we'll finish this row. Okay, so I've made my way back across the row, and I'm at my next chain 2 space, which is our corner. And that's where we're going to put our last corner for this round. So 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 more double crochets into the same space. And we're going to connect it to the top of the first chain 3 we made with a slip stitch. Pull through and pull through. Chain 1, and we will snip our yarn, pull through, and then you can weave in your ends, flip it over and weave them into the wrong side of the work. And then you'll just continue on like that, adding layer after layer, and you'll end up with something like this. Now, as you can see, as you get bigger, you'll have eventually, we've got all the sides here, but eventually this other side is going to get bigger, so you can see spaces in between your corners as it grows bigger and bigger. So when we get to our final video where we're going to attach the granny squares together, you can attach smaller rectangles like this if you wanted to, or you can just take something like this and just keep making it bigger and bigger and making it grow. But you'll just join into the next corner and start another corner and go along your side. All right, so I want to thank you guys for joining me today. Up next, we'll be learning how to make a granny chevron. If you have any questions, please comment below. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.